Kamala Harris recently said that any claims that she promoted the Minnesota Freedom Fund, which is a far left radical group that bailed out murderers and rapists during the 2020 Summer of Love riots, is misinformation. But we have the evidence. Let's get into this. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Rich, and in this episode of RPW Media, we're going to be discussing how members of this administration are simply incapable of telling the truth. And that includes all the way up to President Joe Biden and especially Vice President Kamala Harris. During the 2020 George Floyd riots, the Summer of Love riots, as they were called, there was a group called the Minnesota Freedom Fund, and they were taking donations to help bail out rioters. Now, the Democrats will tell you that they were helping to bail out peaceful protesters. But I submit that peaceful protesters don't get arrested for the most part. They have a constitutional right to protest peacefully. Rioters get arrested, and that's who they were bailing out. GOP War Room posted this interview with Harris on Campaign 2022, where she denied that she supported this fund, and she referred to it as misinformation. She said that the people that were making these claims were playing political games with the story. But the only one playing political games are the Democrats. Kamala Harris tweeted out support for this group and asked people if they could donate whatever they could. Let's give this a listen.
I want to ask you, the Minnesota GOP is holding a press conference this afternoon to criticize you for your support a couple of years ago, before you were the vice president, for something called the Minnesota Freedom Fund that was really set up to help those who were arrested in the aftermath of the George Floyd riots, help them get out. It's since been sort of morphed into something else and has been used to help people get out who've been accused of many other crimes. Do you have any thoughts about this?
Well, first of all, I am a child of parents who marched for civil rights in the 1960s.
That's not what she asked you, Kamala. That's not what she asked you. Why do you got to bring that up? And why do you got to bring that up? I mean, think about it. She can't even answer a question, right? Straight up.
In America. And I have always been and will always be a supporter of peaceful protests.
Yeah, but they weren't peaceful protesters that were being bailed out, Kamala. They were rioters.
Many peaceful protests over the history of our country have led to an expansion of rights, and
yeah, but the George Floyd riots didn't go to an expansion of rights. What they did was they defunded police that caused crime to skyrocket in the very communities that they were trying to say they were saving from police that were hunting them. You know, that's what came of this. What came of this was BLM made tens of millions of dollars that they didn't start a single thing. They didn't pay for one college fund for black kids. They didn't build one housing project for black people. They didn't help anybody but themselves.
And an expansion of civil rights. So that's where I stand on peaceful protest. And
so what civil rights were expanded because of riots?
I think that, unfortunately, what we're seeing is people are playing political games right now. We're 18 days away from midterms, and we have sadly not seen a lack of misinformation and disinformation.
This woman is a pathetic liar. A man was freed by this organization, the Minnesota Freedom Fund, that Harris supported in 2020, and he was charged with murder this year. The Minnesota Freedom Fund admitted that it helped release Sean Michael Tillman from jail in 2020. Tillman went on to shoot and kill a person in St. Paul in May of this year. Harris put out a call of action to help fund this group who helped a murderer go free. Now she's saying it's misinformation. Last year, a Minnesota man who was freed by the same bail fund, promoted by Kamala Harris on Twitter, was charged with murder. George Howard shot and killed another man during a road rage incident in August of 2021, only weeks after he was released from jail on an $11,500 bond. The Minnesota Freedom Fund bailed Howard out on August 6th, 2021, and he was charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder on August 29th. Now, here's the tweet that I'm talking about. A lot of people don't even know this exists. She kept this up there. I guess she's proud of it. But look when it went. It was June 1st, 2020. And she tweeted out, if you're able to, chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota. Again, peaceful protesters don't generally get arrested. It's people who break the law. You're a peaceful protester. You're not breaking the law. Okay? So her tweet is still up. She never removed it. And it's because she's hiding behind the lie that she supported peaceful protesters, not rioters. And as I said, for the most part, peaceful protesters don't get arrested. They have a constitutional right to do so. A big lie by the Democrats is that peaceful protesters get arrested all the time. They don't. People who riot, who loot, who steal, who commit arson, who harm people during riots, they get arrested. And Kamala Harris supported a group that bails those kinds of people out. So you just saw the Vice President of the United States call claims that she supported this bail fund misinformation. And she said that people are playing political games close to the midterms. But isn't out and out lying about supporting the group when this tweet is still up? Isn't that playing political games? All right. I'm going to put the link to this story in the description. So please visit rpwmedia.com to read all of our stories. So that's it. Thanks for being with us, and I will see you in the next one.